Hey, coming up on iOS today, we have got quite an exciting show for you because Rosemary Orchard has her iPad Pro, the new one, and we both have our new Siri remotes. Stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by Headspace. Devoting just a few minutes per day to focus on your thoughts can change your life. Headspace is the easy-to-use app that can help you sleep, focus, act, and just be better. Go to headspace.com/iOS today for a free 1-month trial. And by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Smooth it out, fellas, with Manscaped. Get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/twit. Hello. Welcome to iOS Today, the show where we talk all things iOS, tvOS, watchOS, iPadOS, HomePod OS, home stuff. It's iOS Today. I was trying to come up with another OS that doesn't exist, but we are the show where we talk all things Apple's various operating systems. I am one of your hosts, Mikah Sargent.
And I am Rosemary Orchard, and I have boxes right here, Mikah. Boxes, multiple boxes. There's plurals of boxes. It's very exciting.
Plural boxes. Yes, folks, today is the official launch day, the official release day of Apple's newly announced products, including the Apple TV, which also includes the new Siri Remote, the iPad Pro, the iMac, and am I forgetting anything? I think that's
Siri
three,
Remote
right?
is a standalone.
Yeah.
Siri Remote is also a standalone product. But yeah. So there's 2 models of iPad, technically 1 model of iMac, but they've got 3 different configurations that are pre-configured, and then there's the extra ones there. Mine is somewhere. I'm guessing it exists. Apple charged me for it. I went for purple, so it's not like I can just go to a store and pick it up. It's one of those colors that you can't get. But you know, I got some other stuff in the post today. So thank you to Alex, my delivery guy. Over here, they tell you the name of the delivery person, which is fun.
Oh, that's nice. Thanks, Alex. So
Alex likes rock music.
Oh, well, that's good to know. As he pulled up and was blasting the rock music. I don't know what my delivery driver. So typically my deliveries, when it's an Apple product, every other day, UPS makes deliveries. It's around like noon, 1, 2. But on Apple product days, which are typically Fridays, I usually don't hear UPS ring the doorbell until about 8 I should say my dogs don't usually hear UPS ring the doorbell until about 8 p.m., at which point I hear my dogs, at which point I know that UPS has arrived. But for some reason, despite them both being shipped via UPS, my Siri remote arrived this morning at about 10 a.m. And so that was a pleasant surprise to have one of the devices that I ordered for delivery today arrive a little bit earlier. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But folks are itching and scratching to see the new iPad Pro, and I'm sure you are itching and scratching to be able to unbox yours because Rosemary, for those out there listening, you should all thank Rosemary for her great sacrifice because she has waited, even though she got it earlier today, to unbox her iPad Pro until the show. So Rosemary, take it away. Let's see this thing.
Well, to start with, let's give a little bit of background on what I ordered. So previously, I had the 2018 11-inch iPad Pro, which is a great device. I loved it. I even bought the Magic Keyboard, which came out last year, which fits on the older one. But I was debating, and I was very unsure. Do I get a bigger iPad? Do I not get a bigger iPad? You know, is it a good thing to do or a bad thing to do? And then they said that it's got this fancy new display. And so here it is on my desk. I'm just going to move my mouse out of the way here. And you'll have to excuse some of the boxes in the background. I'm reorganizing my office right now, but I can just peel this off. I love how they've added these tabs, by the way. It just makes life a little bit easier when it comes to getting into your Apple products. There's no more trying to finagle around with the plastic, shoving your nail in the back or anything there. Though I'm still having to rip it because I was doing this flat on a desk. But Here we go. Moment of truth. Can I get the lid off of this box on air? Because otherwise it's going to just be very, very embarrassing. There we go. I did it.
Yay.
People. Do I get a round of applause for this?
You do.
Exciting. There we go. So I went with the 1 terabyte option because it's got that extra RAM in it. And I'm hoping, like I did with the 2018, that I'm going to be keeping this baby for a couple of years because look at this. Isn't this beautiful? I have not had one of these models. I've not held one of these, I don't think. I mean, I've played with it in the Apple Store, but it is not the same as, having one for a couple hours to play with from home. So I'm just going to power that on a second or try to. There we go. I have an Apple logo right here.
On this webcam in particular, on this camera in particular, it looks so gigantic because of the distortion.
It looks huge. Yeah. So just for scale, I have the old Siri remote here, and I'll just put that on there for comparison. And I'll just have a quick look in here. So I have the same 20-watt folding charger that you would get with a HomePod Mini, and is that a 1 meter cable? Come on, Apple, give me 2 meters. I'm always using 2 meters to charge. 2 meters is much better. Okay, bonjour iPad. I'm not sure how to speak that, so I'm not going to try. So I can just go through and set this up. Oh my gosh, it's so shiny. Oh, I absolutely love it. So this is shipped with 80% charge. I actually just set everything up manually, so I'm going to have to type in some passwords and so on in a minute
so
here.
You could switch back to me for a second while Rosemary takes care of that. So did you get the silver or the space gray model?
So I went with silver because the space gray there are these lines on the back of the iPad, which, I mean, it's very difficult to see on the 11-inch iPad, which I'm just holding up to the screen now if you just want to quickly switch back. So you can just about see, if you're watching, there's like a line right there. That's the antenna line. Okay. And this is present on Wi-Fi and cellular devices. And that blends in much better with the silver than it does with the space gray. With the space gray, it kind of stands out. And so I actually went with I went with the silver just because I like it to blend in. And also I like light, pretty colored devices. It sounds kind of silly, but pretty is important to me. So I wish that these came in the beautiful colors that the iMac does, just because it's kind of a shame. I understand why they don't. I mean, how much space are they having to take up in an Apple store with all of the same iMac? Just the color is different. It's not like they can just be like, okay, we'll just drop this configuration into this computer and done. They've got different color cables. They've got all of the accessories in matching colors, etc. So that is pretty scary. And I'm officially at the stage now where I can set up Face ID. So that's good fun. I've not connected this to
gigantic
my Mac
Face
yet.
ID.
Yeah, gigantic Face ID. And I have to do it in portrait mode, which is extra fun. So there we go. Oh, it sings at me. I did not realize that it did that. There we go. So let's just see if I can get this to do the same thing again. And one tip for people setting up Face ID, which I think some people sometimes struggle with it. Usually you have to, do this circle with your head. I like to do one circle to the right and one circle to the left. That, it just means that it's getting your face from slightly different angles just because the way you move your head is going to change. And I personally have had zero issues with Face ID doing that. And I've had some friends who were having occasional issues with Face ID. And I said, hey, just do it again. But next time when you set it up, go right and then go left when you do the Face ID setup. And
that's
voila,
a great
it works.
tip.
So my mom did that on her iPhone. She kept going, Face ID is not working. And I said, well, part of the problem is you're wearing a mask because this was before Mask Unlock came out. And so, that needed to be fixed. And the other issue was, she'd moved the phone when setting it up instead of holding the phone still and moving her head. So there we go. I can officially say don't transfer apps and data. I forgot that I can use my phone to set up my iPad without transferring the data from my phone because I want to start this iPad from new. I mean, I've had my 2018 iPad since launch date 2018. So that's a pretty long time. I've accumulated a lot of apps on there that I don't use anymore. So I'm just setting this iPad up for brand new. So I'm sharing data with app developers. I will go with light mode for now. And oh my gosh, I can officially show people again. Look at this. Look at this. It's ready. It's got all these apps. I have my refreshed widgets and so on.
Now, one
great.
hopes we will get more screen to work with widgets in the next version of iOS.
Oh yeah, I'm crossing my
desire.
fingers for June, Micah. I am crossing my fingers for June because I mean it's not that far away now. We're a couple of weeks to go until June 7th. So it's going to be good to see what we can do with our iPads then, because I mean this iPad has the same spec in it as the iMac that I bought. Literally, I bought a 16 gigabyte of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD iMac. So I'm going to have the same spec, the same hardware inside of both, give or take. What are we going to be able to do with this? I'm looking forward to finding out.
Yes. So let's talk about some of the things that make the iPad Pro, especially the one that you got, the model that you got, so much better than last year's model. The big thing, both literally and figuratively, is the screen. This screen is Apple's Pro Display XDR kind of shrunk down in more ways than one into an iPad Pro, because it has mini LED. And by doing that, it has incredible brightness levels. It's got ProMotion, which is Apple's name for an adaptive 120 hertz refresh rate, meaning that you, as you scroll and things like that, the screen looks great. And it has multiple zones of brightness, so sort of backlight brightness. So to kind of explain this, many of your lower cost displays will have a single backlight, and it can be done with LED, LCD. It can be done with a bunch of different things, but the backlight is kind of one item. And to address individual zones of that screen, they use different technologies for that. And so with OLED screens, each of those individual pixels can be addressed, and you can have it them basically completely turn off. And by doing so, then the black is as black can be. But with your other types of screens, you may have some bleed of those brighter areas into the darker areas, and so you don't get that very deep, rich black. With this, with the mini LED, they were able to, there you go, it's 10,000 individual LEDs that let them make these adjustments to the brightness of the screen. And by doing that, you get a 1,000,000-to-1 contrast ratio. Now, that is compared to the iPhone that we have. You know, both of us have the latest model iPhone. This has a 2,000,000-to-1 contrast ratio, and that is because of the OLED screen. So to be able to do a 1,000,000-to-1 contrast ratio on a non-OLED screen is incredible. It's next level. And what's really awesome is that there are 2,500 individual dimming zones on the iPad Pro, the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, versus on the Pro Display XDR, that incredibly expensive Pro Display XDR that Apple sells, where I think it's like 500 or 700. It's fewer individual dimming zones. And so it's really kind of incredible, the screen that's packed into this thing. You get P3 color, you get HDR, although they call it XDR. And even on the 11-inch model, you'll get that P3 wide color gamut, and then 600 nits of brightness. So even if you don't go with the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, you're still going to get some next level magic when it comes to these displays for the iPad. This is definitely a pro device. Now, Rosemary, I'm curious, are there apps that you use on your iPad Pro that tend to be kind of taxing on the device? Are there any sort of either pro apps or apps that are just very graphics heavy that you've used on iPad Pros of yesteryear that you're looking forward to trying out on this new iPad?
Well, Civilization is a great game. If people haven't played Civilization, it is first of all, a very fun turn-based game where essentially your job is to try and take over the world. And who doesn't like a little world domination with breakfast? The problem with Civilization is I can't play it with breakfast because it takes quite a while to load at the beginning. Now, some of this is just the calculations it's doing in the background with the AI to try and figure out, what are the other players on the board, the computer-based players doing, and some of it's just the graphics in general. So it's something that I like to play on my iPad, but I can't really play on my iPad for just like a little bit. Because it's a very absorbing game, and a little bit means 16 hours later, you have just taken over the world and you wonder what happened to the rest of your life. And oops, there was that deadline that went whoosh. But also, it takes quite a while to boot up. So I'm really hoping that in particular is going to be much better. Additionally, sometimes doing a little bit of film and video editing, I tend not to do this on my iPad all that much, just because the applications I need for most of this are on my Mac. I'm using applications with other people, and it's best if we're all using the same application to start with. That way, I can just give them the entire file and they can continue working on it. If I'm doing something on my iPad in a different application, that doesn't work, unfortunately. So I'm looking forward to seeing how much better that is. In particular, I'm sure apps like Affinity Designer and Affinity Photo are going to be incredible on this device, which is great. I mean, they're already really good on my they're already really good on my 11-inch from 2018. So I'm just going to look forward to this. And of course, Affinity Publisher, when that comes out later this year. That's what I wrote my CV in recently, and it worked. So I'm very pleased to see that they will be releasing that on this iPad as well.
Nice. Yes, that'll be fun. In our unique brand of fun, where we like to use pro apps on these devices. And like, as you said, Civilization, that graphics heavy game. I guess now I'm just kind of curious, as you are going through with the setup process, your thoughts here. Do you feel like this is it blasting your retinas with all new color? How are you feeling looking at it and playing around with it a little bit?
I wouldn't say it's blasting my retinas, but if I have a look in the screen brightness, it's defaulted to about a third screen brightness. And now if I turn it up, so actually, let me see, if I turn it all the way down, you don't really see a difference on camera unless I turn off all of my other studio lighting. But if I do quickly switch to the second camera, I apologize for the angle. I've done what I can with it here. This is full brightness, and this is like minimal brightness. So you can still just about make out Control Center over here in the top right. But there's a humongous range here, which is of course great. And that is definitely better than my 11-inch iPad Pro. And it is pretty darn bright. The other difference, of course, for me, because I'm sporting a 2018, are these cameras on the back. And I just want to take a quick moment to look at these, because I've got, the 12 Pro Max. I've almost never used my iPad as a camera. I've used my iPad as a camera a couple of times where I've needed to view the photo on the iPad while I'm like typing it into my iPhone or something. But this is, pretty humongous. That said, if we do a comparison using my phone case, then you can see there's quite a bit of space there, which if I were to put this back over here, then there isn't. I don't know who is using their iPad as a camera. I occasionally see people doing this at concerts, or I used to see people doing this at concerts. And it's like, I now have like a 13-inch iPad between me and the stage, and I came to watch musicians. So I really wish people wouldn't do that. But the front camera and this tracking that it can do so that you can interact with people and talk to your friends and family, and it will just follow you around the kitchen. I love that. Center stage is great. I'm looking forward to seeing what developers do with that, particularly companies like Zoom and so on, which have already got access to some private APIs that Apple have given them to work the split screen. Come on, let's see what our app developers can do, because I know there are amazing app developers out there. They are absolutely fantastic. So I'm hoping that they will be able to do everything and make the most of center stage here as well.
Yes, with that gigantic view screen, I think the iPad serves as a great viewfinder for the iPhone in many ways. That was one of the early uses that I had when you download, is it Filmic? Yeah, Filmic. You can also download Filmic Remote and use the iPhone's cameras and be able to control them with your iPad. And so seeing it on that bigger screen, seeing it on that bigger screen with your iPhone serving as the camera with its better camera lenses built in is really quite nice. And I think that that's only going to improve there with the ability to use the iPad kind of as that display. So as a viewfinder, I think it's great. Some people out there must be using their iPads as cameras because Apple keeps packing them in and making them better. But to go on with that, I think the AR experiences, as we're kind of scrolling through the site here, are really where this gets magical because if I'm given the choice between a large portal into another world or a small portal into another world, I'm going to want the bigger portal. And so having that iPad there with those cameras on it and being able to move around and see so much is much better, a much better experience, I think.
Yeah, especially now, we've had this form factor on the 12.9-inch iPad Pro and the 11-inch iPad Pro since the 11-inch iPad Pro came into being in 2018. But there is minimal bezel on this device. I mean, look at it right here. There is no bezel. Like if I'm holding it, I'm going to be covering part of the screen pretty much. I can just about get my thumbs on either side and not be touching the screen, which is good because I'm going to be using it in landscape mode most of the time. But I think, the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, it's got a little bit thicker this time. 0.5 millimeter. Come on. The only people who are going to notice 0.5 millimeter are people out there measuring these things with calipers and people the unlucky few who find that their older Magic keyboards don't fit it. Side note, a lot of the reports I've been hearing have said that they can use their old 12.9-inch Magic keyboards with their new iPad Pros just fine, no problem. I am really pleased to hear that for all those people that have them and wanted to upgrade, but were really on the fence because is it going to fit in my old Magic keyboard? Because if not, that's another, $400 that you've got to pay for a new Magic keyboard. That's a lot of money, especially if you want to sell your old Magic keyboard to recoup the cost and you sell it on somewhere like eBay and somebody doesn't understand it's for the older one and then it doesn't fit their iPad. I can just see all of the problems here. I'm so glad I put it for the 11-inch because that'll be really easy to sell because it fits the new one. So that's easy. It's fixed. It's these devices are a lot lighter and thinner than they used to be. I remember the original 12.9-inch iPad Pro. I had one. I actually had two because I sold mine and then my mom didn't want hers anymore. And I was like, actually, you know what? I'm going to use it because I was going back to university at the time, needed a bigger screen for taking notes, and it was absolutely perfect for that. These things are so light. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's going to be heavier when I put it in a Magic keyboard, but it's still going to be great. And let's be honest, we're still kind of in a pandemic here. I'm not going to be going anywhere for quite a while. So my iPad can make it to the sofa with me.
Right. Exactly. All right. Well, there are lots of different reviews out for the new iPad Pro. We got our initial thoughts here this morning. We'll continue to see Rosemary's thoughts on the iPad Pro as you get to use it and as WWDC comes around and we see what the next version of iPad OS will bring us. But until then, we should move on to unboxing the new Siri Remote. But I think before we do that, we will take a quick little break here for everybody to breathe in and breathe out, because this episode of iOS Today is brought to you by Headspace. So you've probably tried meditation before and, well, it didn't work, right? Or maybe you felt like you were doing it wrong. Well, you and I are alike in that. If mental health is part of your self-care plan this year, however, you owe it to yourself to try Headspace. Headspace is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So whatever the situation, Headspace really can help you feel better. If you're overwhelmed, Headspace has a 3-minute SOS meditation for you. If you need some help falling asleep, well, Headspace has wind-down sessions their members swear by. And for parents, Headspace even has morning meditations you can do with your kids so you can help them learn how to meditate early. And practice makes perfect in this situation. Once they learn it and they get it under their belt, it'll be a lot easier for them to do as they get older. Headspace's approach to mindfulness can reduce stress, it can improve sleep, it can boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. For a mood-boosting workout, check out Headspace Move. Just 30 days of Headspace, and I love this. As I said earlier, clinically validated research. Headspace said, you know what? If we're going to make a claim, we want to have that backed up, and we want to have the numbers there. So they have the numbers, they have it backed up. Just 30 days of Headspace lowers stress by 32%, and just 4 sessions can reduce burnout by 14%. I love the Headspace sleep section. This particularly lately, when I had a situation where I woke up in the middle of the night and was not able to fall back asleep, and your mind is racing and, things are going and going and going, and you need to find some sleep. They have these great SOS sessions that will help you get back to sleep. It's kind of like, find the reason why you're awake right now, why you're having trouble sleeping, select that, and they can help you get back to sleep. Plus they've got some great, it's almost like a radio station. So you can listen to music that's very soothing. You can hear sounds that are very soothing, and you can fall back to sleep. It's really nice. All of the sleep stuff is really great. So even if you're not in it for the meditation, if you're having trouble sleeping, which many of us are, then you can check it out for that. If mindfulness is not necessarily your thing. And for anybody who's stressed out, which we've all experienced stress, this is great for that. And let's not stop there with the numbers. Headspace is backed by 25 published studies on its benefits, 600,000 5-star reviews, and more than 70 million downloads. Holy moly. Headspace makes it easy for you to build a life-changing meditation practice with mindfulness that works for you on your schedule, anytime, anywhere. You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/iOS today. That's headspace.com/iOS today for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. This is the best deal offered right now, by the way. So head to headspace.com/iOS today. Thanks so much to Headspace for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. We do appreciate you and for helping me get a good night's sleep. All righty. We both have our new Siri remotes. These are the remotes meant to solve the issue of Siri remotes past. Can they do it? Let's unbox these, see how they feel, see what we think.
Are we going to pull the tab at the same time, Micah?
Tab, yes. 3, 2,
2, 1, go. All right. I was slightly faster than you there, but I had an advantage. So, oh gosh, I'm going to see if I can flip my camera around and show people what's inside here. It's not the best angle, but it gives you an idea of so it just slides out. Oh, that's nice. And I love the fact that they've switched this to paper. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really nice that they've done that. Oh yeah, it's got a proper IR. Yeah, it is. So I've got the original uncased here. I usually, for reference for people, I usually keep it in this silicone case. For anybody who was concerned, by the way, because I 3D printed an AirTag / Siri remote holder last week for Smart Tech Today, and then my iPad, my Siri remote got stuck. I did manage to heat up the remote, the case appropriately, and I extracted my Siri remote, and it still works. So we're good. Look at this. That's quite chunky. It's quite a chunky beast, but in a way, that's a good thing, because I know a frequent complaint people have about these is that they lose it inside their couch. It slides down into the couch cushions, and that's it. It's gone. Bye-bye. I also like there's more buttons. I know Apple is tending to less buttons, especially on things like the iPhone and the iPad, but a couple of buttons here on the remote. Like, I have a Logitech Harmony. I can see myself using, I use it with my Apple TV, because I don't like this remote most of the time. Like I don't know, like navigating around feels kind of awkward, but the physical buttons here and also that click wheel, I think from what I've been reading, you click and then you go around like you did on the iPad, on the iPod, sorry, originally. But I'm liking how this feels in my hand. And of course it's using lightning to charge the device. There's a little mark on there, but that just rubs right off. So that's good.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that folks have struggled with is they've said, I am having trouble with the click wheel because they thought it was supposed to, it was gestural. And so they thought that you were supposed to be able to swipe to navigate. So it works to let you press up, down, left, and right. But it was supposed to be able to also be an actual like swipe around, sort of like the iPod of years past, and then be able to do that. I was trying to activate my Apple TV that I have up here so that I could show that, set it up with this remote and then show that. But I was having a little trouble there.
You have a look at that. Should we have a quick look at what's in the box?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because of course there's more than just a Siri remote inside the box. So that's come out of the front. That was in a little paper case. But if we flip over the box on the back, then there's this little area that pops out. And we have, they're trying to get rid of all of these lightning cables with USB-A on, Micah. Look at that. That's good USB-A right there. USB-A to lightning. That's where all of those went when they couldn't get rid of them with the iPhones anymore. And then we have a little guide for the Siri remote here. I'm guessing this is going to tell us how to use the gesture ring, which some people are having trouble with. I'm just going to see if I can slide that off. There we go. You have to open it and then, it's stuck on the back. That explains why it wasn't sliding there. So it tells me how to charge. I figured that out. I permanently have a lightning cable near my couch anyway, because if my phone runs out of battery, then I need to know what to do. And then in the tiniest of letters, then if my camera would focus, then you might be able to read. It would tell us how to do this. I'm just going to switch back to the other camera and see if I can make that. There we go. That's just about visible. So it tells you all the things on the bottom. And then it says to use the click pad, you press up, down, left, or right to navigate. Press center to select. During playback, press left to skip backwards 10 seconds, or press right to skip forwards 10 seconds. Press and hold to rewind or go forwards. And it does not seem to have any instructions on the click wheel itself, which is a little bit of a shame. Yes, no, it just has the same information on the side with the diagram, unfortunately. So, yes, but this seems to be pretty cool. And I have heard breaking news. It appears Micah's iPad is arriving. So Mikah has temporarily run away. Oh dear. Well, that's right. I'm just going to take over and we're going to have some fun. We always have fun with Mikah anyway. So this is a pretty cool remote. And just again, for comparison, it is a bit taller than the older Siri remote. It is thicker than the older Siri remote, and it's got this button on the side, which is how you activate Siri. So I've not yet paired this with an Apple TV, so I can go ahead and press all the buttons without worrying. My Apple TV is in the other room, and it's currently in use, so I can't do that. But if we do a comparison, then some of these buttons are pretty familiar. The up and the down that controls the volume, but this microphone button over here has turned onto the side. And then, of course, we have play pause as an addition, and mute. Now, mute is something I find myself not using all that much. I have set up some automation, so if my doorbell rings, then it should mute my TV. But I actually want to change that so that instead it's going to pause whatever is playing on the TV. Because if my doorbell rings or my intercom buzzes, I need to get up and answer it, and I want it to pause. So I need to dig around and see how I can do that. I might be able to do that with Plex. I'm not sure. But there's also the back button, which you can do with the menu. So this is really just kind of a rename here. But I'm thinking that this is going to be much easier. And of course, power on. This is great if you have a TV with HDMI CEC. If you have HDMI CEC, then of course you're going to be able to control your TV through your Apple TV, because the Apple TV will support HDMI CEC devices. So this means that, you have one remote to rule them all. And this is kind of why Logitech is, not continuing to produce the Harmony line, because HDMI CEC kind of replaces that. except for those of us with 10-year-old TVs for whom it doesn't really replace that. But I've connected mine to Homebridge so I can actually control it from my HomePod. So that's pretty nice. I can be cooking dinner and ask my HomePod to turn on the TV, and it does. And then I can watch something as I'm eating. But yeah, this remote, I think, is probably going to mostly replace the Logitech Harmony remote for me. I'm going to be able to use this all the time instead of, having that big bulky remote, which, as I discovered today, if you pick it up wrong, turns off your TV, which I was almost at the end of an episode of Once Upon a Time. I'm watching season 7 finally. It turned off at a critical moment. I was very upset. So I had to rewind a minute.
Okay. I got my, as you can see here, it's a little, let's switch these cameras around. There we go. I got my television here working, and I'm currently using the remote that's built into my iPhone to control this. So let me do this for just a second here. We'll select send to Apple, and then we should be able to go to the main screen. And then I'm assuming we'll want to go into settings, and we will want to go into remotes and devices, and then remote, and then unpair remote, and then I think
remote app and devices again, right?
Yes. Let's see.
Or it might be, I know on the older one, it was pressing and holding the menu and the television button. Maybe it's the back button and the television button.
Oh, yeah. Let me
pair it.
Let me look at what it says about pairing. To use this ClickPad, yes. To use the remote buttons, okay.
I did not see instructions on pairing in the 2 pages in the leaflet that I was looking at earlier, if people are aware.
Hold down the back and volume
booklet,
up buttons for 2 seconds. Back and volume
there
up
we go.
buttons for 2 seconds.
Back and volume up. I was close. Yeah, there's like 4 pages of instructions here in total in English. And then it moves on. 5 if you include the warning and battery page. And then it moves on to French. Télécommande pour vous assister. Sorry, I'm reading very quickly here. And then mit dieser Fernbedienung hast du die Controller. So that's German for people not familiar. I will not murder the Spanish or the Italian. No, that looks like it could be Swedish. It is Swedish. It's a svenska. And then Norwegian and Dutch. I'm not quite sure what order everybody else has got their languages in, but that's the order the UK ones are in.
So I'm currently using the button, and the whole thing is, it's swipey. So in the remotes and devices settings, under ClickPad, you can choose to make it click and touch, which is how I have it now, or just click only. And so I'm swiping up and down to make that selection. Touch surface tracking is set to medium. The TV button takes me back to the home screen. I don't like taking me to the TV app ever. It came with about a 90% charge, which is nice. And then turn on your TV with your remote. We would want to have that on. Because I'm doing this through the system, it won't work with this, but I'll go ahead and hit the home button to take me back to the home screen. And let me move myself out of the way here. And I'm able to just swipe down with that ClickPad, and it's taking me down and up to different parts of this very easily. Yeah. I'm really impressed with the touch sensitivity of it. Siri button on the side. How are you today, Siri? I'm fine, thanks. And then we can hit the back button. If I was doing this with a standard TV, then I would be able to use the mute controls as well as the power button. But with it just being basically it's plugged into my computer so that I can show it off. It doesn't work exactly the same. It feels heftier. I don't feel like I'm going to accidentally swipe or select something by accident here, where with the other one, it did feel that way a little bit more. And it stands out too. With the silver versus the black, it does kind of stand out more so you can see it a little bit easier. So I'm happy with this early on, but the real test will be how many times my partner ends up complaining about it, because that was why I ended up getting one of these, because he absolutely despises this Siri remote. So I'm curious to see, once I set this up with the television downstairs in the living room and show him how to use this new remote, what his thoughts are going to be. So I'll have to report back with that, because that's kind of the test of the non-techie for sure.
Yeah.
And it comes with a little cable in the box too, so you can plug in and charge as you need to.
Yeah. Yeah. What I think is going to be one of the winning factors for this remote is if I pick it up, I'm going to know which way is up because of this. The click wheel at the top. I can just slide my thumb over the top of the remote and I'll immediately know this is up. So, if I'm the other way around, then I can tell. Whereas if you do that with the old Siri remote, okay, this is glass, it's slightly textured, this is smooth. That's the difference. How many times have I picked this up and I've been swiping around trying to get something to work, only to realize my remote was upside down for the entire 5 minutes that I've been yelling at my TV. That's why I don't use this remote. That's why I use my Logitech Harmony. So that's the other thing. A lot of people I know are not keen on upgrading their Apple TV. I already have a 4K Apple TV. I don't even have a 4K TV. I only have a 4K Apple TV because my older Apple TV I thought had died. It turned out it was just taking a very, very long nap. I unplugged it for a couple of months and then I was going to get rid of it and take it to the electronics recycling. And I thought I'll just plug it in first and make sure if it does boot up, then I can wipe it. And it booted up and it works perfectly. So I sold it to a friend because, apparently it just needed a couple of months off. I will grant you it had fairly heavy usage up until then. You can just buy this Siri remote and connect it to any of your other Apple TVs. Now, I know you can already connect the older remotes to your Mac. So, if you want to keep it around and not just chuck it in a drawer, then this and the original silver remote with the click wheel, but without the click pad and fewer buttons can be connected to your Mac. So you can't connect them, as far as I'm aware, to your iPad, but you can connect them to your Mac, and you can use something like Better Touch Tool to configure how you control them if people are looking for use for their old Apple TV remote.
That's a great tip. We'll have to include Better Touch Tool in the show notes there then, so the folks can check that out. All right. Well, that takes care of the unboxings for this morning. As I mentioned right before we came to the end of the unboxing Siri remote area. So I saw UPS. I've got, a notification from a security camera that's on my front door. And I got the notification saying somebody was at the front step. So I popped open on my phone to see, and it was UPS, and it was delivering an iPad sized box. And so I was like, okay, I'll get that after the show. And the person walked away and was going on making other deliveries. And then I happened to look down and I saw that the person had come back and they were leaning over, writing one of those slips for we tried to deliver, but you weren't here. And so I immediately unplugged my in-ear monitors and ran downstairs before he could take it away from me for a whole weekend and grab it. So yes, I have my box now. I opened the door and he's like, "Oh, hi." I was like, "Hi, I'm here." So
yeah, I was just tethered to my computer upstairs, but I'm here now. Give me my iPad. Okay, thanks. I need to go retether.
Right, exactly. Let me get plugged in again.
Yeah. I saw you post that the UPS guy had not tried to steal your iPad, but was reclaiming your iPad for its own safety. I should point out, he was doing a good thing for other people. This would have been a great thing if you weren't actually home, but you were home. You could see it. You were watching your iPad. You were monitoring your iPad. I've actually done that before with a delivery person. They were like, they pressed, I have a Ring doorbell, and they pressed the button and they were just going to leave. And I was not here. I was actually at my parents' place, and I was able to say, "Hey, can you just leave it right there? I'll come collect it in a couple of minutes."
Yes.
It was like 4 hours before I got it, but like the interior of my building that's indoors. It was secure to the public. So yeah. So I was like, it's going to be fine. I know my neighbors. They're lovely people. So.
Right. And as of the start of the pandemic, for the most part, UPS has, even on things that say they require signature, they will still leave them because it's like a pandemic rule. And so I thought that they would just leave it, but he was being extra vigilant and careful, which I appreciate. So he's like, I'm not going to leave somebody's iPad on the doorstep. I'm going to, leave the slip. So that was very nice of the delivery driver. And if I wasn't here, I would have wanted that because it is open to the public, my porch. And so it was a good thing, but it was a good thing that I happened to look down, because I would have, after the show, gone down to get it and it wouldn't have been there, and it would have been very sad. Like, oh man, now I got to wait till Monday. But all's well in the world of unboxings. And yes, we've got our new Siri remotes to try out, and our new iPad Pros to load up with all sorts of software and put them through their paces. So I know you and I are both looking forward to that. But let's move on to our next segment, which is the news. And up first is a whole bunch of really awesome announcements that Apple has made in honor of, it's World, or is it Global Accessibility Awareness Day? There we go. Global Accessibility Awareness Day. Apple has previewed some upcoming features that it will be introducing across software and services for all sorts of devices. So the first one is a feature called SignTime, which is very neat. So right now you can, of course, chat with a person that works for Apple whenever you have a problem with one of your devices. But not everybody is able to do that, or is able to place a call, or is able to interact with someone in that way. And so they are introducing something called SignTime, which will allow someone to request an ASL, American Sign Language interpreter, to be able to have that conversation and get their devices fixed, to be able to have support for shopping and support sessions. So I think that's super cool. You basically just tap connect with ASL interpreter if you need one, and then they will try to connect you with an ASL interpreter who can help you figure out or can help you figure out your issue if you're contacting support, or help you with your purchasing decisions if that's where you are looking. So neato. What are some of the other features, Rosemary?
Yeah, so there's also Assistive Touch on the Apple Watch, and this is something. So I tried to play with it. Turned out I had not
designed for
my phone and everything, and so I was not able to use this. But Assistive Touch is something that's been there on iPhone and iPad for quite a while, and that's this little white dot that you can get that appears, and you can use it to do things like take a screenshot and stuff like that. Stuff that might require you to physically move your hands in certain ways. You can also just use it to run shortcuts and stuff like that. So for that, it's fun. But they're showing like double clenching your hand to answer a phone call and things like that. And I'm actually probably going to turn this on. Because I don't clench my hands that much. That's not something that I have as a nervous tic. Some people who have this as a nervous tic may struggle. But I frequently find like I've got one hand free, which is my Apple Watch hand. And so I can look at it and I can see, oh yeah, my mom's calling. But then I can't actually answer. And if I try and, invoke Siri, then one of my HomePods is going to take over, and it's just a bit of a mess when I try and do that. And I've tried doing the whole watch to your nose thing. It works. It's not great, and sometimes you're just not really in a position where you can or want to do that. So I'm probably going to turn it on, just because you'll be able to, double clench your hand and then answer the phone on your watch, or navigate through things. Now, they're also adding some eye tracking, which sounds pretty cool. I'm not exactly certain how this works, because I know the eye tracking has been used for years by, market researchers and people like that who will have eye tracking enabled on you and then watch you navigate a screen on a website and determine which areas catch your interest the most, so that, they can put ads in those spots, basically. So I'm not 100% certain how eye tracking is going to work on the iPad. It's supposed to let you control it with just your eyes. I'm curious as to how that's going to work with people who have one good eye, just because I know that there are some people who, maybe have an eye that drifts off to one side, or if they have partial facial paralysis, then they will struggle to do things with one of their eyes. It'll be interesting to see how well that works. But they're also doing some emoji customizations and so on, which will represent people with oxygen tubes, cochlear implants, soft helmets, things like that. All of which it's about inclusivity and making sure that everybody, is fully represented in the way that they actually look day to day, and that can only be a good thing. So I'm very glad to see this is coming.
Yes, absolutely. I still think that the Assistive Touch features on the Apple Watch, including the Apple Watch's ability to recognize the difference between gestures, be it a pinch with a single thumb and forefinger versus a clench of the entire wrist, is next level. This is technology that's combining all of the different sensors within the Apple Watch, including the optical heart rate sensor, to be able to determine what gestures a person is doing with their wrist. And so, of course, early indications suggest that this technology, this gestural feature, could be used not just for accessibility reasons, but as a means of input for future devices from Apple. I'm happy, though, that if Apple has this technology available now, that they have released it now, giving people the ability to, who need it, giving them the ability to interact on their Apple Watch. But if we can show that video, I want to show the part where the cursor comes up on screen, that they're able to use their wrist to move around that cursor. Yeah, complex navigation. So a double clench brings up an option. They switch to the motion pointer and select it. And then the motion pointer lets them select different things by just moving their wrist around. And it's sort of this inertial button, an inertial cursor that they're able to use. And so with this motion pointer, imagine a world where you've got Apple's glasses on your face and you just have your Apple Watch and you just take your wrist. It could be at your side, it could be in front of you, it could be wherever it's comfortable, and you're moving your wrist around like you do with that motion pointer to select things. Then a pinch or a clench would then let you do different selections. So it's really cool to see this stuff available now and know that the Apple Watch can already do this, and what that means for the future is so awesome. So yeah, I celebrate this stuff in general, and particularly as accessibility features that, if they have the technology and they can improve upon people's lives who are differently abled, then this is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree. I'm glad to see that all of this is coming. And I do feel like a lot of people who need something to be more accessible have possibly missed out a bit with the Apple Watch. So it is great that is coming and that they are going to be able to use that. One of my grandmothers is still never going to get an Apple Watch, but the other grandmother agreed immediately when I asked if I could give her one. A, because I was giving it to her, and B, because she'd fallen over in the garden and her hip had shattered. And so that's why she has an Apple Watch, and now she has a new Apple Watch which has fall detection, and she is thrilled about that. So it's people with all sorts of issues who can benefit from it, and I'm just glad to see that pool of users is widening every year, it seems.
Yes, absolutely. That's on my list, is grandma's getting an Apple Watch for sure.
Yeah.
I think they're really good for that. The Apple Store app got a redesign for the iPad. And while this on its own is sort of exciting, I think it's more about what it could mean for the future of iOS as a whole. This is the future of iPadOS, as a whole. So what are the changes in the Apple Store app for iPad?
Well, the changes are primarily or at least that I immediately saw when I opened the app, is there's this brand new sidebar area. So it's no longer just the iPhone app that's been blown up. There's actually a sidebar on the left with all the different sections in. So the shopping by product, you can jump to Mac and so on. And if you think of the website for the Apple Store, they've got these, a bar across the top with the different products on. And then at the bottom in the menu, there's, the refurb section and education and so on. So that's basically been transformed into a sidebar with all of the extras that you get from the Apple Store apps. So, for example, you can jump straight into your account information. You can also look at sessions in Apple stores near you. If they're running sessions, make sure that you check in the app to find out before you head in to check a session out. And it's also designed apparently to make adding an iPad, a Magic Keyboard, or any keyboard, or an Apple Pencil to your iPad order easier. Now, I did not test this by ordering another iPad Pro. I could have done, but that seemed a little excessive. Let's put it that way. Unfortunately, I don't have any family members about to buy an iPad, except for my dad, who is buying my old 11-inch. But that doesn't require me to order a brand new iPad for him. So I can't verify that. But it's also got virtual sessions in there, which is why the sessions tab is in the top left, just underneath the shop. So there's a general shop, and then underneath in the shop by product, then there's also the ability to select specifically iPad or Apple Watch or AirPods or whatever. But there's sessions and virtual sessions. I'm not quite sure what the virtual sessions entail. When I looked earlier today, it seemed to still be potentially rolling out / not yet available here in the UK. Yes, but that said, the British Sign Language option is available if you want to do SignTime. So
nice. All right. This is good. So for folks who are looking for a keypad or a keyboard rather for your iPad, and you've looked at Logitech's option and you're maybe looking for another option, Zagg has stepped onto the scene with its own case for Apple's iPad Pros.
Yeah, it has. And Zagg have been known for doing like fairly rugged cases for the iPad. That's how I would describe most of them. They're going to help keep your iPad safe. And they are doing a Pro Keys with Trackpad. And it's for the 11-inch iPad Pro specifically, it seems. And apparently it also works with the 10.9-inch iPad Air and the 10.2-inch iPad. It has a keyboard, which you can detach, and that has a trackpad built in. And apparently it has a 6.6-foot drop protection, which is pretty amazing. I love that.
With a big old honking iPad, it would be good to have drop protection for sure.
Exactly. I mean, I hope that the farthest I ever drop mine is from my lap to the couch, which is, a couple of inches. But it would be good. This does use Bluetooth, however, to connect, unlike the Magic Keyboard, which uses those 3 little dots on the back. I'm just going to grab my brand new shiny iPad Pro right here. And for people who aren't watching, I've already slipped it into a rose gold Moco case. I picked rose gold for the simple reason that this was £5 and the black one was 20. And I just wanted to have something available on hand when my iPad arrived. And also if I wanted a slimmer case. But at the bottom of the iPad Pros, on the back, there are these 3 little dots, and I'm just going to see if I can move it in a little bit to get it focused. There we go. So those 3 little dots are how the Magic Keyboard and the Smart Keyboard communicate. Now, this is a little similar to the little. It's very difficult to see. There's a little shaded area basically on the side of the iPad Pro where the Apple Pencil attaches, and then it knows that it can charge there, and it connects it to your iPad. So if you want to pair an Apple Pencil, you just stick it on there and that's it, you're done. There's no more of this plugging it into the port like we did with the original Apple Pencil 1. That this is going to use Bluetooth, which does potentially use a bit more battery life. But it also means that the keyboard can be charged independently. It recharges via USB-C. And it has backlit keys that come in 7 colors. I mean, the keys come in all the colors. And I don't know. I'm a big fan of RGB keyboards. So I have a fancy mechanical keyboard that lights up in all the rainbow colors. So, we'll have to see. But Zagg do some great case options. So if people are looking for something a little bit cheaper than the Logitech or the Belkin options, then that's one of them.
It's a really nice looking case, and at that price, can't be beat, honestly.
It's $99, which is much cheaper than the original than the Magic Keyboard for sure, and cheaper than Logitech's options. It has 2 stand angles, kind of like the smart keyboard does. If you just get Pro Keys, but there's also Pro Keys Trackpad, which is very similar. It's just got a trackpad with it. So
Nice.
I think it's a good option for people if they're looking for something to compare. Especially if you're looking and going, okay, well, if I get the Magic Keyboard, I can't afford the Apple Pencil. I highly recommend getting an Apple Pencil with your iPad Pro. You might find that you don't use it a huge amount, but especially if you're trying to replace note-taking and you're trying to go away from pen and paper, it is so much nicer to do it on the iPad with the Apple Pencil, because then you're not changing your workflow. You can use something like Notability or GoodNotes, just grab the Apple Pencil. And okay, so if you don't have the budget for the Magic Keyboard, look into the Logitech options, look into the Zagg options. If you're not sure about getting a trackpad or not, then definitely try Zagg before you decide to spend the money on a smart keyboard or a Magic Keyboard. Go into the Apple Store and try them out if you can, but if you can't, and your options limited to buying something and trying it, then this is going to be the way to do it, basically.
Agreed. Well, folks, we're going to take a quick break before we come back with more. But first, I want to tell you about Manscaped, who are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. It is our, at TWiT, go-to choice for men's below-the-waist grooming products. And there's a new product out. Yes, that's right. It's time to stop, drop, and order this brand new shaving kit that Manscaped just launched. Introducing the Ultra Smooth package, a specialized shaving kit to help you buff, protect, and smooth, well, your most sensitive areas. And that includes the Manscaped Crop Shaver, the Manscaped Crop Exfoliator, and the Manscaped Crop Gel. It's time to take care of down there. See how that rhymes? Time to take care of down there and get right to the roots with a discount just for you. Get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/twit. From the legends who introduced the electric hair trimmer for your nether regions, there's now the razor and set to get you trimmed front to back. So folks, you no longer have to borrow someone else's razor for that precise trim. It is time to use your own, especially when you are trying to, make a nice, clean, close shave of your body, and you want to avoid having ingrown hairs and all of that other uncomfortable stuff that comes with shaving things other than our faces. This is very helpful for that. It is an ergonomically shaped handle with non-slip rubber pads to help you get a tight and close shave. The Manscaped Ultra Smooth package, it's a 3-step kit to make your package the perfect package. Step 1 is the crop exfoliator. It's infused with ingredients that can soothe, clear, and keep the skin on and around your nether regions feeling refreshed. The crop exfoliator can help reduce the risk of ingrown hairs. The crop gel is really neat because it is a clear shaving gel. And so with its 4 essential oils, it's like a spa treatment every time you shave. And then step 3, when it comes time to shave, the crop shaver was designed for shaving your nether regions with confidence. 3 precision blades include extra wide lubricating strips and a pivoting head for the ultimate grooming experience. And the crop shaver is not your average razor. It's smaller, thicker, and includes a micro comb bar that allows you the best shave possible from any angle. All 3 of these products are vegan, cruelty-free, and sulfate-free products that are included, so your nether regions are in good hands. It's time to get up close and personal with the best tools for the job, the Ultra Smooth package from Manscaped. Get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/twit. That's 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/twit. Smooth it out, fellas, with Manscaped. Thanks so much to Manscaped for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. Let us move on to Shortcuts Corner. This is the part where we dance, leading into Shortcuts Corner, the segment where Rosemary Orchard answers your shortcuts questions and fulfills your shortcuts requests. Rosemary, take it away.
Well, today's question came from Cuadratic, spelled with a C, in the Club TWiT Discord. Of course, don't forget, if you want to send us questions, be that for Shortcuts Corner or feedback, then you can do that through the Discord, or you can do it through email or hashtag AskIOSToday on Twitter. All of that comes into our wonderful feedback form, or actually technically database. But this question says, hi, I've got a shortcuts request. I'm trying to spend less time playing with my phone during the workday and would love to create a shortcut to allow me to track how long my phone is sitting in its MagSafe charging cradle during each workday, say 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Since my charger is in a drawer, anytime it's charging is time I'm not distracting myself with the phone. Being a huge geek, this is obviously something I'd like to track. Well, Cuadratic, this is a fun question because there's about 8,000 ways you can solve this problem. And of course, it's always fun to be able to solve a problem multiple different ways. So I had a little bit of a chat with Cuadratic just to ask, is it specifically the MagSafe charger that you need, or is it just any charger? Because iOS at the moment, it can say, your phone is charging, your phone has stopped charging, your phone is charging, your phone has stopped charging. But when it says your phone is charging, it can't say on the MagSafe charger or via a lightning charger or a wireless charger or a battery pack or something like that. It just goes, it's charging. Like it's a binary thing. It either is or is not. And so it turns out any kind of charging is good. So that is a good start. Now I'm actually going to solve this. I've gone through and checked how to do this, but I have not pre-solved this because we are going to solve this with shortcuts automations. And we have a slight problem in that my iPhone has temporarily gone invisible. So I'm just going to see if I can fix that a moment. So we're going to have two of me temporarily. Oh, very exciting. And here we go. So now on the video feed, my iPhone is actually visible for you. So inside of the Shortcuts app, in the bottom tabs, there's My Shortcuts, Automations, and Gallery. And if you use the plus to create a new shortcut, then you can create a personal automation. This is what we want here. We don't want a home automation. We want a personal automation. And if you scroll down to the bottom, then there's three things related to power in your iPhone. There's low power mode, battery level, and charger. And for this particular use case, we want the charger. Now we're going to need two automations here, one for the charger is connected and one for when the charger is disconnected. Now, the next part of the problem that we need to solve. So we've got a way of finding out when the phone goes on charge, but we need to check whether or not it's a work day. Now, there's, again, a lot of different ways you can do this. And the way I am going to choose is the format date action. So formatting the date, oops, sorry, that's the wrong action. That's from Toolbox Pro. I mistyped because I'm trying to look at my camera, but unfortunately the phone is down here and I can't see where my fingers are on the camera. So the format date action allows you to format the current date. And there's this row above the keyboard here where if you swipe across, it's got variables, ask each time, clipboard. If you swipe across, there's also current date. And if you use this current date, then it's going to take today's date. And then to do this, this is kind of something you need to know how it works. But if you format your date as 5 E's, 5 capital E's, then if we run this, it comes back with a single letter. So it formats your day of the week as a single letter. Now you could have if M, if T, if W, wait, T we've already had, if F. But the good news is in the English language, and in fact, also in the German language, if you're German speaking, and possibly several other languages, Saturday and Sunday both start with an S, which means that we can say, hey, if this is an S, just give up, just stop right there. We don't care anymore. And that is exactly what I'm going to do here. So I'm just going to say if formatted date is, and then I just need to put in the text and I just add an S, then we're just going to stop. That's it. That one goes right in there. So to start with, we check it's not the weekend. We're done. And then we need to check the time. And again, we're going to need a format date for this again. And format date is down here. And this time we're going to format our current date again. That's right now. And this time we need the hours in 24-hour time, because otherwise 2 p.m., well, that could also be 2 a.m. You're not going to know. So if we format it, the hours as 24-hour time, then when I run this right now, it comes back as 20. And you'll notice it didn't exit because today is a Friday, not a Saturday. Okay, so now we need to check whether or not this is, we need to get the number from this, because I did this earlier, but it's a little difficult because I did it on this phone. So we get the numbers, and again, we've got 20, but this allows us to do an easier comparison. So if our number is greater than 9, okay, so you could change this. Sorry, I've just tapped the wrong button there. So I'll just input 9 again and done. So if it's greater than 9, wonderful. And then we'll just do another if right inside of this and change and make sure numbers is less than 17. Okay, so now we have between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Okay, I'm just going to add a little comment, and this is where we need to put our magic. Now, the question here is, how do you want to do this magic? Because there's lots of different ways you can do it. You could create a reminder when you put your phone on charge, and then look for a reminder with that name and get its date, and just say, hey, you know, this the due date from the reminder. You could have calendar events. You could write it to a file and then get that information back every single time. But whatever you do here is the part that you are then going to need to get that data back later. Now, personally, for something like this, I would usually look to an app like Toolbox Pro and Global Variables or Data Jar. Now, both of these are third-party applications for shortcuts. They exist purely to make using shortcuts easier. Now, if you don't want to be using a third-party application, then I would probably recommend, just because it's easy, Notes. Everybody has Notes. It's free. It's on your phone. What we're going to want to do is look in the application section, and of course, Notes is hiding. And I would suggest creating a note here. Okay, so I'll just remove my comment because we're now doing this here, and we're going to get rid of this. And I am going to say charge time. Typed badly. Charge time. And then we are going to just put the current date. Just current date, no special formatting, nothing fun or magic here. We're just going to create this note, and that's it. So this note will then only exist, or be created rather, within 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, because if it's Saturday, starts with an S, we go away, we check if it's after 9 a.m., before 5 p.m. using 24-hour time, and then we create our note. And then here's where the magic happens. Turn off ask before running, okay? So then you say don't ask, and then this is going to happen every single time. And then in our personal automations, charger, when it's disconnected from charge, specifically disconnected, create a separate automation. And then I would look under notes, and we are going to find notes. And we're going to add a filter, body contains charge time. And then we need to get this data. And then Cuadratic, the question is, what do you want to do with this? Okay, so you're going to need to replace text in this note. Oops, I can't spell. So I'll just talk people through this. So you'll need a replace text action, replace the text charge time, and then get date from input. And then you can calculate the time between dates. And then what you do with this and how you use this data is entirely up to you. And I'm really looking forward to hearing how you do this, because this is something actually I should probably be a little bit more proactive about. Stick my phone on a charger, have it just out of reach. I actually have an Anker magnetic charger now on my desk, and I'll actually just grab it. In case people are curious, because this way my phone can magnetize on. You'll notice this is not plugged in right now. That's because my phone is plugged in. And there we go. I can just magnetize my phone on here, right like this. And then I usually stick it just out of reach, which is why I had to temporarily move off camera to grab it. But then if my phone is there, then it is indeed charging and not being used. So that is something I would like to do as well. So Cuadratic, can you get back to us in Club Twit or hashtag Ask iOS Today on Twitter or email and let us know how you've decided to use this data and calculate everything out. And of course, if you need any more help, then I would be very happy to help you out as well and demo what you've done and how you're using this in another Shortcuts Corner in the future.
Nice. That is, as is usual, I love the thoroughness, the in-depth answer there. So Cuadratic, thank you for sending in the question. Let us move on to a bit of feedback before we move on to the next segment. This comes from Chepo, who is writing into us from Johannesburg, South Africa. And Chepo says, may you please assist with the following. I use WhatsApp Messenger. When I receive a WhatsApp audio call on my iPhone, I do not get the call notification on my Apple Watch. I do, however, receive WhatsApp text notifications on my Apple Watch. I would like to know if you can assist me with an automation that will alert me on my Apple Watch when I receive a WhatsApp audio call. Notifications are enabled in the WhatsApp app settings, iPhone settings for WhatsApp, as well as the WhatsApp settings in Apple Watch app. I have reached out to WhatsApp and Apple technical support, and they both said I should reach out to the other. Oh man, Chepo, I'm so sorry that they have not helped you and instead are trying to punt to the other party there. That's not great. Rosemary, I have a feeling you have more experience with WhatsApp than I do. I think I've opened WhatsApp maybe once. So I was hoping that you might have some advice for Chepo here that I would not.
Well, so I tried to get a couple of friends to call me on WhatsApp today, and it seemed to me like I was getting the audio notifications. However, I had a slight problem in that my friends were entirely too on the board. So when I sent them a message that said, can you call me? I had barely locked my iPhone before somebody, actually called me back. So I was seeing things on my iPhone. So what I would suggest, you've gone through notification settings in the WhatsApp app. You've gone through the iPhone settings for the WhatsApp app and notifications there, and you've checked the Apple Watch app for WhatsApp settings. If this isn't working, now there is one little caveat that I will get to in a minute. If this is not working, I would try back up your WhatsApp data before you do this. Do not do this without backing up your WhatsApp data. Uninstall the app, turn off your iPhone, turn back on your iPhone, and reinstall the app. Sometimes just uninstalling the app and then reinstalling the app immediately, I'm not quite sure what it is. It kind of feels like it maybe, it seems to grab things back from system memory. And if you reboot your iPhone in between, then it does not do that. So uninstall back up WhatsApp, uninstall WhatsApp, turn off your iPhone, turn your iPhone back on, and try reinstalling WhatsApp. If that doesn't work, then I think the problem is on WhatsApp's side in that they don't have an Apple Watch application. And you can tell this because if you try and if you look for WhatsApp in the Watch App Store, you're not going to find it. If you try and reply to messages from WhatsApp on your Apple Watch, it doesn't work. And also, you can't make calls, you can't send messages on the Apple Watch, which is a real shame. So if uninstalling and reinstalling the app after doing your backup with a reboot in the middle does not work, then I think you might be out of luck. One thing I would like to suggest, if you can convince your friends and family, and I know that is a very big if, is potentially looking at something like Telegram or Signal instead, just because those are also cross-platform solutions. And in my experience, the phone calls on those do seem to come through on my Apple Watch. But again, I had a limited window for testing today, so I can't guarantee that those will work. but it might be worth a try. I'm really annoyed for you here that WhatsApp and Apple are punting you back to the other side. I think it's probably a case of 6 of one, half a dozen of another. WhatsApp maybe don't have things quite right, and Apple possibly also have an issue, and you possibly didn't reach high enough up in their support chain to get somebody who actually could say what to do. But I hope that uninstalling and reinstalling the app with the reboot in the middle will fix this for you, because then you will have to go through and regrant all the notification permissions and check everything again. And that might just kick things into gear that aren't quite there right now. So I'm going to cross my fingers for you that does the trick.
Yes, I will cross my fingers too, because, again, sometimes those notification permissions, especially given that this is probably one of those extensibility things where, because some apps can take over, they can be the phone call on your phone and sort of pop up as a phone call does. And so if there's some sort of permission that's not happening, then that could be what's causing it. So going through the whole process again will hopefully kick things into gear there. I put out the call to see if anybody in the Discord wanted to ask a question live on air. Looks like nobody is wanting to, which is fine. But if you would like to actually ask a question live on air, you do that by joining Club TWiT. By joining Club TWiT, twit.tv/Club TWiT, you will gain access to a lot of cool stuff. But one of those things is our Discord server. And part of the fun of the Discord server is chatting with us live. And also when you have the desire to, being brought on stage with your voice to ask us a question about iOS. So keep that in mind, and we'll see you in the future there.
Yes. And in the meantime, we have had a little bit of feedback from Cuadratic already on the MagSafe charging tracking. And I think he is onto something there. So I'm looking forward to seeing your finished solution there, Cuadratic. You've promised it. I'm going to give you some homework and ask you to follow up when you're done with that.
There we go. All right. That brings us to the end of the feedback section, which means it's time for App Caps up next. Let's do the App Caps. I've got a real quality App Cap today.
Oh my gosh. Did you just pun that? You did. Oh my God. I love you. People, this is why working with Mikah Sargent is just amazing. Puns, koalas, all of the... Oh my God. I need that hat so badly.
I re-upped my cap supply, so I've got a few new hats to work with, and the first one I felt needed to be the koala for sure. Yes. Folks, this is the App Cap segment of the show, the part of the show where we wear silly hats to honor our app picks of the week. These are the apps we've had for a while that we want to share with you, or new apps we've come across that we're super excited about that we think you should check out. Rosemary Orchard, tell us about the cap you're wearing and the app you've chosen.
Well, today's cap is a green number. It's got a little red band around the side and on the hat itself, and it's got a wonderful, full quality fake feather attached right there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is indeed a Robin Hood hat. And of course, yes. I'm in the UK, so I'm allowed to do that. My app cap for today is a combination of a blast from the past and something new. It is Angry Birds Dream Blast. Now, I have been playing this on and off for a little while, and I have to admit, it's got me kind of hooked. So for people who don't remember, Angry Birds was the game where there's the birds who are angry, and there's the bees, and you are playing as the birds, and you fire the birds over to aim at the piggy's house and to blow their house down, as in the traditional fairy tale. Now, Angry Birds Dream Blast is not quite the same. It's a little bit of a simpler game, you might say, in that you need to try and pop the bubbles in order to get through to the next levels and indeed to get to the bottom. It is quite simple. There's not a huge amount of strategy to it, which I think is a good thing mostly. But when you pop a certain number of bubbles, you get birdies. And these birdies have little arrows on them. So this red birdie has 2 horizontal arrows, one pointing left, one pointing right. If I tap the birdie, then he fires off in both directions and explodes with anger because he is an angry birdie. And he shoots out a whole row of things. And so this allows me to, if I tap quickly enough, go through, and I'm trying to protect the egg, I believe. So I'm just gonna do all of this, and voila, I've got the egg out and it's hatched. Ew, isn't it cute? And so I've completed the level. And basically it gets more complicated as you go. So every time you complete a level, you get points. Points, of course, mean prizes. There are some unfortunate ads in this game. It's not unfortunate ads. There's just some ads that pop up. So I'm going to play the next level for you quickly. So as you start, you see the game, and then sometimes you'll zoom upwards. This birdie is just going to explode everything, it seems. And he seems to be doing pretty well. And if enough of these little dots land on a birdie, then they will automatically explode the birdie. It's not really the birdie exploding. It's just kind of him doing his thing and then shooting off somewhere, I think. So let's do that and try and get as many of these popped as possible. I've completed the level. I'm not quite sure what the purpose was on that level, but hey, I seem to have managed it. So it's just pop as many bubbles as you can. It's quite therapeutic. There's nothing too crazy or strenuous here. You don't need to have a full brain power when you do it, unlike my app cap for next week. Yes, people, I've already picked it out, but I was waiting for a 12.9-inch iPad Pro so I could properly show it off. So I like it. It's very simple. It's fun. You can easily play a couple of levels, while you're waiting for grocery delivery in the parking lot or something like that, and then you'll be able to put it down and step away, which is, of course, something that can be a little bit more difficult with some other games.
That is awesome. And, Angry Birds, like you said, it's sort of a classic. People very much enjoy their Angry Birds games. And so to have this one that it feels, as you said, it's kind of a little bit simpler than I've seen from Angry Birds past, where it's one of those, I'll just pop in and do a quick little movement and then move on to the next thing. My app is called Facer. And this is an app for the Apple Watch. Well, it's an app for the iPhone, but it is connected to your Apple Watch. So we'll pull it up here on the screen. This is the watch itself. And Facer has a bunch of different Apple Watch faces that you can use for your Apple Watch. Now you can create your own design where you choose a background that you want and you choose, different colors and things. And this is because of Apple's newly added ability to share faces. And so it's gotten even better. But what I love are these custom faces where they use custom complications that are built into the app itself to create special watch faces for your phone. So if you are a Star Trek nerd, then you're probably familiar with LCARS, that's an interesting thing that's happening. There we go. LCARS, which is a computer interface for the Star Trek computers. So you can see here that I've got LCARS set up, and in the top left is the Starfleet emblem. And then here is LCARS kind of computer system with my beats per minute, although that looks a little inaccurate. I'm not that fast right now. Steps that I've taken for the day, or since I put the Apple Watch on, calories that I've burned, and miles and kilometers that I have moved. And then down here, it shows you how far you are away from getting to 3K, 5K, and 10K. So this is one thing. And these are custom, again, complications that are part of the app. And so you give the app permission to access your health kit data, some of it, which depending on which app you're choosing. And so I gave it permission to access my heart rate and those kinds of things. And then from there, I was able to create different watch faces or choose different watch faces depending on what I wanted. They've got some really cool NASA themed ones, so I'll show you that as well. And so if I swipe over to the right, then you can see this really nifty NASA watch face. And the Earth here is actually your steps for the day. So you can, whoops. So it just taps to open the Facer app, but that shows you your steps for the day. So you can see that fill out. Again, beats per minute, calories that you've burned, and then the power, that's the current power of the watch itself, how much battery power is left. And so this is just a super cool way to theme your Apple Watch. They have lots of different themes that are available. I will say it's a little bit pricey. It's $4.99 a month or $40 a year. And with that, you do get access to a lot of premium faces, but you can create some for yourself without having to get these premium ones that cost more money. That's where the subscription comes into play. So there's a bunch of Star Trek faces. So you can see, we'll tap into here and we can see LCARS, Star Trek Pride, Tetris, NASA, are some of them. Watch Dogs, which I don't know what that is, and Assassin's Creed, I do know what that is. And then let me show you the create your own design option. So we'll tap on this and you choose which series watch you have. So I've got a Series 6 Apple Watch and we choose a face that we want to use. So we'll go with Infograph Modular. And then you can start to select the different ones and add different stuff that you want to add to it. So I can add photos, and there that plus button will actually let me add custom photos. I can add weather, health information, tools like a quick jump to the calculator, and the kind of the built-in complications that are available, or a custom photo. So we'll just choose a custom photo for now, like that. And then we choose the next one. Again, you can do a custom photo, or we can select, here's some weather stuff, some health stuff, your timers, entertainment, so how far I am through a book or what music I'm listening to right now. And so we'll do that, let's say. And that is just built into the app. Not that there's anything wrong with listening to Pride and Prejudice. It's just I'm not at the moment. And then you can select more from there as well. So go through and add flowers or weather or what have you. So then you create your own custom one. You can publish it to the library, or you can immediately publish it to your Apple Watch roundup, and then it will add it to your gallery of Apple Watches. So it's a really cool app for creating custom Apple Watch faces exactly as you want them. But I think it's really neat to have those Star Trek LCARS faces that a designer has put together. And because of those custom complications that were created, they are all kind of designed to fit that look and feel. So yeah, get LCARS on your Apple Watch with Facer in the App Store. Facer, which is just a really cool app. That is my app cap.
I've officially downloaded this app, and I have an immediate update for people who are interested. There's Tetris. So I was going to buy this anyway, purely for Star Trek, but now I'm also getting it for Tetris. So I believe, Mikah, you have officially won today's app cap. I love it. I also love the photos faces that they have with the Get Colorful section. If I can show that. There we go. Yeah, these ones, they just add straight. You don't need to pay for these ones. They have just, macOS Big Sur, and you tap on it. It's just on your watch, and that's it. It's done. And it's now officially showing up on my Apple Watch. Unfortunately, that's not going to show up on the overhead camera if I do that. But there we go. I love it. I'm stealing this from you. And thank you. Yes. I greatly appreciate you sharing this.
Yes, that's how I felt when I don't even remember now where I came across it. I think somebody was talking about it, or occasionally I'll go to oh, crud. Now I can't think of that site. It's the site where people launch apps all the time, apps and products. And you go there and you can vote them up or vote them down. And it's sort of like... AppSumo? No, not AppSumo. It's a pretty mainstream one among us folks. I can't think of what it's called now. Product Hunt. Thank you, Anthony.
There we go. Thank you, Anthony. We love you.
Occasionally I'll go there and look, and I think I may have seen it there, but I could have seen it from somebody else. Regardless, I was super pumped when I saw this. I thought, what? How did I not know about this? And I love these little custom watch faces that you can make. So yeah, $4.99 a month is a little pricey. $39.99 a year is pricey. But if you're not into those custom designed effects and all of that stuff, which is what you're paying for with the premium, there are still custom faces that you can make without having to pay for that premium price. So yeah, Facer and Angry Birds Dream Blast. All right, folks, that brings us to the end of another episode of iOS Today. If you have questions, again, you can send those to iostoday@twits.tv, or you can tweet at us with the hashtag AskIOSToday. Or in the Discord, of course, where you can also send us that message. I mentioned the Discord a little bit earlier. That the way that you join the Discord is by becoming a member of Club TWiT. Club TWiT is our new premium member subscription. For $7 a month, you can join the club, and by doing so, you get access to all of our shows completely ad-free. So you will not hear ads for that. Plus the members-only TWiT Plus feed, which has bonus content, including outtakes and some stuff like before show, after show, and special content from the hosts that we're working on, and the members only Discord server, which is quickly becoming the most popular feature of Club TWiT, a place where you can hang out with all of us. There I am with a gif of the minions, and all of that is available for just $7 a month. And by joining that, you are supporting us directly. You just go to twit.tv/clubtwit to sign up. And the first sort of big product of the first blessing to come from us having this direct sponsorship from all of you is happening later today at 3 p.m. Where Leo Laporte will be interviewing Andy Weir, who is the author of The Martian and has come out with a new book. And so we're very much looking forward to that. You can tune in later today to see that. But that is because of your support that we've been able to sort of bring back the days of yore of triangulation, where we used to have great interviews with folks. And so you can check that out on the TWiT events feed. And also Leo wanted it in his heart of hearts to have it on the triangulation feed as well. So if you are still subscribed to triangulation, then you can find it on that feed too. If you would like to tune in to watch the show live as we are doing it and join us in the Discord or in the IRC chat, you go to twit.tv/live every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is 11 a.m. Pacific. And now it is time. That's what I'm forgetting to say. The best way, though, is to subscribe to the show, which you can do by going to twit.tv/iOS. And by doing that, you can subscribe in audio and video formats across all the different platforms. So check that out if you want to subscribe to the show. Rosemary Orchard, if people want to follow you online and check out all your great work, where do they go to do so?
Well, you can go to rosemaryorchard.com, which has links to all the things I do, including this show and some others, in case you're interested in them. And of course, you can also follow me on micro.blog and Twitter with the username Rosemary Orchard, where I suspect there may be a deluge of iPad Pro pictures incoming in the not too distant future, once my magic keyboard arrives tomorrow anyway.
Yes.
Micah, where can people find you?
You can find me and my new koala friend on pretty much all of the social media networks at Mikah Sargent, or head to chihuahua.coffee, CHIHUAHUA.coffee, where I've got links to the places I'm most active online. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of iOS Today. This has been a blast, and Rosemary and I got to go play with our iPads, so we'll see you next time. Bye.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Ant Pruitt, and I want to tell you about my show, Hands on Photography, here on TWiT TV. Each and every week, Thursday, that is, I like to sit down and share with you the best tips and tricks that are going to help make you a better photographer. And it's not always about Photoshop. It's not always about just having the biggest and baddest and bestest camera. It can be the simplest of things, like leave your eye open when you're looking through the viewfinder. All of these simple tips can really help step your photography game up. So subscribe to the show today. That's twit.tv/hop. And I look forward to talking to you soon.